Happy Monday, everybody. It's your buddy Choppadong. I am coming at you with a hyper simple breakdown of MLB DFS for April 29th, 2019. Can you believe April's almost over? This is a good day to jump out and do a little bit of broader based research. Look and see which team offenses are scoring, which team offenses are still allowing too many runs, maybe which ones are running with team stolen bases or even individual stolen bases by looking maybe at ESPN.com and the leaders, the stolen base leaders in both leagues to see who you should maybe target, like a Tim Anderson or something for a little bit of stolen base upside. This is always a good day once a week to kind of go through. You don't need to watch this every single day, but it's going to change periodically as teams get hot, teams get cold. If you don't use too big of a sample size, keep it to 14 days, 30 days, something like that, and you'll kind of see teams kind of shuffle positions a little bit, and you can sort of stay on those hotter teams. Especially what we're looking for is a hot team running up against a pitching staff that's allowing a lot of runs. If we can find those this week, then we're in a pretty good spot to start our research. We'll look at other things. We'll dive in a little bit as we're getting ready to do here and walk through this slate, digging a little bit deeper and looking for a little bit better matchups. But that's always a good thing to do about once a week. If this is the kind of information that you like, of course, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Come back and get me ringing the notification bell where a new link will drop to the new videos every time they hit YouTube, and they'll go right to your phone so that you can pull over in traffic, stop what you're doing right there, and watch the video. Hopefully they don't last too long. I know sometimes they do. I apologize, but we're going to try and keep them short. That's the focus. It just doesn't always work. I'm a long-winded guy. You can always find me out on Twitter at Choppadong, and of course at DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for everything DFS related, where you go down to the comments section, click the link, use the coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, trigger that 20% off discount that gets you in, gets you learning, and raises your edge. We've been on every single leaderboard, AFL, NFL, NBA, PGA, it doesn't matter. We've got the coaches' content and the tools to set you apart from everybody else and teach you to be a better player, which is partially what I do right now. So let's dive in, show you my process, how quickly you can bust up a 9-game MLB slate. If we get a little time at the end, I'll kick into a little 3-game slate and see if we can't find a quick contrarian tip or two that should pan out for you today. But we always start the process by looking at pitching. Pitching's very, very simple. You find yourself some form of a graph or a graphic or something that shows you the strikeout upside of a pitcher, the Vegas odds, and his salary, and you start sifting through those 3 parameters, looking for who is maybe the best combination of all 3. Usually we want to pay down where we can. We'll start with a Verlander. Good K-score, 521, over 500 is great, minus 150 Vegas odds, not minus 200 or 300, but still pretty strong. So, all right, leader in the clubhouse, 11,300. Might want to pay down off of that, being that none of these numbers are super, super, super strong. Drop down just a smidge to Patrick Corbin, and look what we find. We find a $2,000 savings, 15, 1,600, whatever. Same odds, same K-score. Why would I pay up? I'm not going to. I'm going to run Corbin over Verlander today. Yes, I'm going to look at Minnesota versus St. Louis, maybe see if I don't like one offense a little bit worse, or a little bit more afraid of one offense over the other. But largely speaking, I'm running one of these 2 pitchers out, and I'm going to be paying down where I can. Maeda dropped down a little bit more, another $1,000 or so. A little less Vegas odds, a little less K-score, so you're going to get what you pay for. Drop down a little bit to Means, Mr. Means, 7,000 on both sites, positive 130. He's an underdog. 510's a decent K-score compared to the slates, right up there at the very, very top, facing Chicago White Sox. Question is, are we going to see the innings? I've seen some 2- and 3-inning starts. I've seen a 5-inning start, saw 36 points last time out. Don't know what I'm going to get. GPP only, high risk, high reward type pitcher, but he's cheap. That's a good thing. Might have a couple of shares of him. Still not enough to pull me off of these guys up here. Erod, 8,500. Erod was the slate target his last start. It was an easy call. Had a high K-score. Now it's not so high. Oakland doesn't strike out as much. That squelches his upside just a smidge. Got a good Vegas favorite compared to the rest of the guys on the slate, but I'm not giving up 60 or 70 K-score point. Erod, you're out. Won't be using you today. He might have a great day, and that's fine. But he's not going to be somebody that I look to on paper as the best play of the slate. He'd be more of a contrarian play, a little bit more of a, maybe he has a good day kind of play. And then Zach Wheeler down here at 8,600, it's the same price as Erod, but a little better, stronger Vegas favorite, a little better K-score. I would prefer Wheeler over Erod today in today's matchup. but I don't know if I would prefer Corbin over Wheeler. I'd probably prefer Corbin. Same Vegas odds, a little better K-score, a little bit more expensive, 1,100. If I can free up the money, that's fine. But you don't hear me talking about Verlander anymore because I'm saving a little bit of money by going with these other guys. I will take that kind of a risk. I don't play 50-50s only anymore. I'm looking for some upside. I'm looking for 100-man leagues, small GPPs, things like that, where I need to gamble a little bit on saving that money to afford better bats that also go off. So let's kind of dive in and look at what bats we're going to find. Corbin would probably be my number 1. Wheeler would probably be my number 2. Might use a little bit of Means. Might use a little bit of Verlander. Probably won't use Maeda. Probably, well, maybe I would a little bit just for kicks and giggles. But I probably wouldn't be too high on any of those guys outside of Corbin, Wheeler, and after that, it'd be a pretty severe drop-off. That's how I assess a slate. Pretty simple. We've done it in a couple of minutes. I jump over into the research station, and I'm looking for bad pitchers. And the bad pitchers that I found, I mean, I'll show you another time detail-wise, but the bad pitchers that I found carrying high Sierras or struggling with batters that have, they struggle with WOBA against both sides of the plate, righties and lefties alike. And I like the Dodgers, I like the Rockies, and I like the Nationals. I will also look at teams like Tampa Bay, Baltimore, New York Mets, Houston, Atlanta, Boston, kind of cover the slate a little bit, looking for if I find a hotter team, I might like them more than one of the premium matchups, because when I'm looking at one of the premium matchups, like I said, for me, Dodgers, Rockies, Nationals, maybe I find cold bats. If I find cold bats in a premium matchup, but find hot bats in a secondary matchup, I will probably slide down to the secondary matchup. I feel safer chasing hot bats than I do just blindly chasing bad pitching. Because if you're not seeing the ball well or you're not hitting well as a team, I don't believe that you're going to really tear into, I don't have as much confidence that you're going to tear into a bad pitcher as I do a hot team facing a mediocre pitcher. Baseball is a streaky game. I tend to think that hot bats continue to produce until they stop producing. So that's where my focus goes. Maybe yours is different. That's fine. We're all different. We all have different ways to do different things, or else we wouldn't have different lineups across the different slates. But if I'm looking at the Dodgers and the Rockies and the Nationals, then I'm also going to look maybe into, let's go to the batters page here and look at, one thing I'm incorporating more and more of is this matchup ISO. Because if I've got batters that have high ISOs, high power numbers, and they're facing pitchers that give up a lot of power against, that tells me we're good against bad. And I want good bats against bad pitching. And in the power side of things, it really helps. So I will look at some of these names, but I'm going to go down this team name here, and I'm going to look for frequent teams. Boston, 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 Boston. There's 4 of them, 5 of them, 6 of them on that front page. So I need to be looking at Boston. They weren't one of my premium stacks, but they will become one now. I'm going to underline them on my piece of paper. And then I look down a little further, 3 in a row, LA, LA, LA. Pretty good little stack there, Muncy, Bellinger, Peterson. Right? ISO on ISO. So I'll be looking at them. They're a premium matchup for me, so I like them even more. And then I notice Atlanta popped in there. 1, 2, 3 Atlanta bats, right? So Atlanta might be one of the matchups that I'm going to look a little bit stronger towards, right? And let's do this for fun. Under Atlanta, write down Acuna, Donaldson, and Freeman. And let's dive into the hot bats and see if we can't find any on a short sample size that's running really, really well. Now that I've identified a few teams that I'm looking for, a few that I like even more, let's go find the batters in those offenses. We kick over to the Trends tab. And I sort by this L7 WOBA. It's right here. I sort this by descending, bring all of the hot hitters to the top. And let's go chasing some guys down. We said Atlanta, right? We wanted to see it. Acuna, Donaldson, and Freeman. Are they running hot? Well, Freeman might be 472. Donaldson, 460. Acuna's down here a little bit farther, 303. I might not use Acuna. I might use a Freeman-Donaldson mini stack, though, because I've got bats with good ISO numbers against a pitcher giving up ISO, and they're hitting the ball well currently. That's like a dream matchup. Maybe I throw some Flowers in there because he's hot. Some Culberson if he gets a start. Some Matt Joyce. I don't know how I would formulate that. Maybe I leave it at a mini stack at just 2 guys. Let's look at the Dodgers. Muncy, Bellinger, Peterson. Uh-oh. Bellinger still producing. Peterson hitting pretty well. Now Muncy's dropped off some down here into the 260 here. So again, I've got a mini stack of Bellinger and Peterson. Good ISO versus ISO. Hot hitting bat. I like the matchup. Might include some Verdugo. Probably won't go much below that, though, because I dropped way below the 400 mark that I look for. So these would be the bats I would build around. These are the bats I'm going to go into the optimizer, and I'm going to boost their projections. I'm going to put them up on DraftKings in the 2.3, 2.5, fantasy points per $1,000 range. And on FanDuel, whatever it takes, 3.5, 4. I'm going to make sure that when I organize my stacks and I put, say, 40% of my stacks on the Dodgers tonight, that I primarily pull Bellinger, Peterson, and then the others sort of start mixing in. It may be Muncy, fine. It may be Justin Turner, fine. I mean, I don't want a dominant exposure to those guys because they're not hitting the ball well. But I do want dominant exposure to Bellinger and Peterson. I want them in every Dodgers stack I own. And I'll live with it. If it does well, I'm set up everywhere. If it doesn't do well, oh well. The numbers pointed me towards it. I'll just blame the guy on having a bad night. Guess what? I might have 5 of 7 bad nights this week. I don't care. In the 2 good nights I have, they should profit the week for me. That's what I talk about inside my channel at dfsarmy.com, is trying to get people to understand that you're going to lose more than you win, but set yourself up so that your wins are big enough that they recover the damage, or try to. And that may go for months. You may go 2 months or 3 months before you finally get a week where you win 5 out of 7 nights. You think you can't do any wrong, and you're repairing damage from a month and a half back. Happens all the time. Look at another one. Who did we say? We said Washington and Colorado. Let's look at them. Washington. Michael Taylor, Brian Dozier, Matt Adams. Maybe not so much down here in Soto and Gomes, but if I ran a Washington stack, it'd start with these guys, and if it included some of these, that's fine. Colorado, you've been heating up lately, haven't you? Arenado's running hot. Oh, yeah, we got 3 guys over a 500. That's outstanding. Tapia and Story, these guys would be anchoring every single one. And then I would have Daniel Murphy. David Dahl's been producing pretty much all year long. I'd have all 5 of these guys, 6 of these guys, 5 of these guys in every stack that I run, mixing and matching somehow. Probably wouldn't even need to worry about including anybody else yet. Charlie Blackmon, come on, you got to step it up. I'm fading you until you prove to me otherwise. If I look over at Boston, they're another stack that I really liked. Mookie Betts, running hot still. Devers, bringing value still, right? Benintendi playing pretty well. Maybe some Bogarts or some Chavis if he's still cheap. Chavis at 3,500 isn't dirt cheap anymore, so I got to be a little bit more selective. But I would look at these guys if I wanted to run a Boston stack because they're the hottest performers I got. I'm not going to bet on a guy down here like Mitch Moreland, who's cooled off and's only hitting 224 over the last week and 234 over the last 2 weeks. Cold, cold, cold. Don't want him in my team. This is the beauty of this L7 WOBA. You're chasing the hot hitters that you'll get on a train and off a train very, very quickly. So running through some offenses, pick through the tool, figure it out. Mark down your names. Mark down the guys that you want to build your stacks around. This is a logical way to do so. Does it work every night? No. Does it work quite often? Sure. Let's dive into the 3-game slate really, really quickly, and we'll turn you loose, get you out of here. If I go to the starting matchups page for pitchers and cut down these 3 guys right here, these 3 time slots for the 3-game late slate, this is the type. 9 games don't really, I'm not all that concerned about ownership. Everybody else in the world can be. I'm really not. My hitters are fluky. They're either going to be good or they're not. I don't care what team they come from. As long as the team does well. Yes, I'll give up leverage if Baltimore goes ballistic and somebody has it, but enough people probably won't have Baltimore that it keeps me from, min cashing in tournaments. I'll take my chances on what makes sense to me. And what makes sense to me is, the Dodgers, maybe some Atlanta or some Boston, some Colorado, some Nationals, something like that. That's what makes sense to me. And that's where I'll be spending most of my time tonight organizing the stacks. It's where most of my stacks will come from. But on a shorter slate, 3 games or so, I'm looking for contrarian stuff. I'm looking to go against the chalk because you have such limited options here. Look at where the pitchers disappeared to. We had a big list before. The only ones that are still on there now are Means, Maeda, or gambling with the Tampa Bay Stanek thing and who's going to relieve him. Fine. Or you're going really contrarian with a Samardzija or a Keller, somebody with a low DFSA grade. Fine. Do what you want. But I'm going to stick with, I'll probably have Maeda and Means. And that's going to be way different than the early slate where I've got Corbin and, Wheeler and stuff like that. So if I play both slates, I've got good exposure to the different pitchers. One slate might do great, the other slate might not, and it might recover everything from the earlier slate and balance out my night. I'll play that way. That's fine. But if I'm looking at the shorter slate, I'm looking, who do I think is going to be, who people chase? Large favorites, names they know and trust, weaker matchups, whatever they can find. Boom. It's pointing to me to Kenta Maeda. Most people look at that John Means and go, kind of a gamble. Maeda is the strongest pitcher on this slate. To me, it's obvious right now. He's a name they know, a name they... This is where people are largely going to go. Let them. I will have some shares of Maeda if I play this slate. I will have some different bats of offenses that I like, LA, Tampa, whatever. But I'm going to turn around and make sure that I have a couple of Giants stacks. So what I'm going to do is come down to the trends page, and I'm going to look at who would I stack. If I'm going to play this narrative that I don't expect to pan out too terribly often, who am I going to roster? Well, if Kratz gets the start, I would start with him. But I would be including Solarte and Sandoval if they get the starts. Hopefully I'm sure they're platooning. Maybe not. Second base, third base, different positions. But they're not getting a lot of at-bats. I would definitely include Buster Posey right now. Probably Brandon Belt even at the lower WOBA just because he's got the pop. And I would probably run some kind of a Solarte, Posey, Belt stack and hope it goes off. And the way I would turn around and do that is I would chase my BVP numbers here, and I would go down to the San Francisco game, and against Kenta Maeda, because they're division rivals, the Giants should have larger sample sizes, and I'm looking for who owns the guy. OPS is fine. Anyone over 1,000 OPS, 10 at-bat sample size, Panic, Solarte, and Belt. They're already kind of hitting hot. If they're hitting kind of hot and they've got great, BVP against Maeda, this stack might work out. Maeda might be in for a rough night, and everybody on that small slate will be loading up on Maeda in cash games or in terms. So I will go against the grain and probably include 3 or 4 out of my 10 lineups as San Francisco stacks and hope for the best. If San Francisco goes off, it might be Solarte and Belt, and that's who I'm going to have in my lineup. I'm going to have the guys most likely to do the damage. And if the unthinkable happens and the chalk stack implodes or the chalk pitcher implodes, I'm going to have the guys doing the damage. I will do that on short slates. I won't do that on big slates. Doesn't make a lot of sense. You've got too many other great options out there to really go too kooky with your lineups. But on short slates where you have no options except for one key pitcher that most people will gravitate towards, it makes a ton of sense to just play the what-if game and take a stack against that pitcher. In baseball, the chalk fails a ton. It's a volatile sport. Be there when it happens. Easy tips, guys. 15, 20 minutes, in and out. Broke down a slate, broke down the 3-game slate. Hopefully you get a lot out of this. If you want to be a VIP, you come inside, you click the coupon code CHOP, you become a member, you jump in, you start talking, I'll guide you, I'll try and work with you, we'll try and figure out what your process is and where maybe some things don't make sense or where they really do make sense and you're just getting caught up in a little bit of bad luck. One way or the other, I will work on your bankroll, work on your contest selection, work on all that stuff. We'll get you pointed in the right direction. That's what we do at dfsarmy.com. Come on in and join us. Click the link. Also, while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you get the updates dropped to your phone. And I will see you guys on the other side. Take care for Monday. Have a good one.